Hello. Caught me off guard here a little bit. I was in the middle of trying to sort out this mail merge thing and all sorts of wildness happening. So let's just gonna scoot myself back over into my normal corner. All right. Well, welcome. I'm in a mess of wires here. So I'm gonna looks a little bit. Let's see. Is that better? Yeah. All right. It's a little bit late. I usually do these broadcasts about 3 hours ago, but had a meeting, or I shouldn't say a meeting, an event here on, well, not here on campus, but a regional event put on by Northwestern Technical College here in Green Bay. They had a lovely panel on augmented reality, virtual reality, and its effects on Industry 4.0. I won't get into those details, but it's fascinating what is um, the anticipations for industry and business in light of augmented reality and virtual reality. And I am skeptical only because it's a lot. Having played with AR and VR a little bit, and I'm not a developer, but that said, I can find my way around a lot of the developers' tools with a little bit of time. And even with the time and the inclination, it's a little bit more difficult to create things for these spaces. And even when you get something developed, it's still relatively difficult to work with, just even as a user. Um, let's see if I can. I don't have a suitable. I'm going off on a little tangent here, so bear with me. See if I can figure this out. I'm not going to worry about it. Whatever. Anyway, so here's, for example, this is a HoloLens device. It's used for mostly industrial purposes. Using them in another stream, I'll deal with that. Might be kind of cool to play around with and just demonstrate how we create things for it, how we navigate spaces with these devices. That's pretty cool. I'm not quite ready to teach about how to use it or write for it yet. Still figuring that out. But boy, I tell you, it's difficult to uh, get around, taking basically what's on your screen, throwing it up in the air, and very little accommodation steps to accommodate. I mean, it's so difficult to read anything unless an interface is specifically created for that, which makes it kind of a problem. So if you're, this is essentially a way of instructing people on how to do things. The way it's been uh, put out in the public is that it's a great way to teach people how to do things. So using that device, you can overlay instructions on top of an actual physical object. So if you're repairing an engine, for example, it's a great way of like illustrating the parts, which steps you want to take, what comes next, and going through a process. So for someone who teaches technical and professional writing, it's an outstanding, it has tremendous potential and something I'm very much interested in and in hopefully more involved in as time goes on. However, it is so clunky, entirely non-intuitive. It does not surprise me at all that our the military in the U.S. Has taken great issue with the Hololens too, because it's I would not trust I would not trust my life or livelihood to that to it. I'll maybe over spring break or sometime when I have a little bit more time, I'll go into some details about that. It's kind of cool, but anyway, today we're talking a little bit about SWOT analysis and how we can use this to generate research questions. So it's getting to be about that time in our semester where, regardless of class, you might be undertaking a research project of some kind. And one of the biggest challenges is coming up with decent research questions. And so there are a number of techniques that I use in my class, but I'm going to stick with this SWOT analysis and just as a more visual way of thinking about how we come up with questions, how we, what am I doing here? How we come up with questions, how we pursue them, knowing which questions are valuable. And so a SWOT analysis is a good way of sort of getting a surveying the landscape and getting our heads around what we're actually trying to accomplish. So what I'm going to be doing is going through a SWOT analysis over the next half hour or so, and explaining what a SWOT analysis is, what it's used for, and then apply it to a scenario. I use one in my class. I'm going to try to come up with a different one, and just kind of go through the steps and then think about the questions that we need to address when as we're going through. And this can help generate some questions. And I'll go through a few other potential ways of generating decent research questions as well. Anyway, SWOT analysis. To put it simply, SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And like all good things, this is a very simple four-part quadrant rubric that is just help us generate some ideas. But let's unpack this a little bit. You may have encountered this before, and it's applied in a number of different ways, and I'm going to apply it in a very specific way. So you can see the language I have up here from my own class. Right. So let's go ahead and oops. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this for the sake of space, because right. Give us some room here. All right. So we have a couple of things to break down. First, our first column, strengths and opportunities. These are the helpful items. These are the elements, components, qualities, whatever that will help our objective. Okay. Weaknesses and threats are obviously the harms. These are the obstacles. These are the um, areas that could be improved or areas beyond our control, right? With that, we have our first row, our top row here. These are internal factors. So what are our strengths? So typically a SWOT analysis is conducted on behalf of an organization, trying to determine the viability. of a event, process, evaluate any type of situation that is uncertain, okay, or there's some sort of uncertainties. Strengths would be, these are in our internal, what are our values? What are the qualities that make us good at what we do, for example? And also, what are our weaknesses? What are some of the needs that we have? What are some areas that we could improve upon? Okay. So if you were an organization or even a person, like I think I'm coming up with a scenario that's I can relate to here. So thinking about the weaknesses, what are the needs, right? And then on our second bottom row, we have external factors that could help or hinder us. So, for example, what are the opportunities? What are the areas that or avenues that we might be able to take advantage of? What are what are how do our strengths measure up with some sort of what's going out on in the world? Say a business is trying to, if I'm a restaurant trying to open up a new business, what are the opportunities there that are present that I can, take advantage of? But likewise, what are the threats? So if I'm opening up a restaurant in a neighborhood, is there, if I'm opening up a pizza joint in a neighborhood that's got three other pizza joints in it, that's a threat. We might also, and it's also important to be thinking about, again, these are external, so can start to think about um, threats that we may not typically think about, but may want to consider as we, especially if I were a new business, trying to un you know pick out the any sort of external circumstances that are beyond our control. Like if I want outdoor seating, well, if I'm living in an area that's frequently has bad weather, probably not going to be worth my time setting up a patio, right, for outdoor seating. So these are the things that come to mind, and you can start to see, hopefully, how the SWOT analysis help breaks this down, right? So, like most good things, it's helpful to start. You know what? I'm gonna pause. I don't think I have any viewers, so it's not gonna be a big deal. Let me just make sure that's the case. Okay, good. I'm gonna go to get some water. I'll be back. All right. Yeah, my throat has been dry all day. Other recordings I've done today, coughing all over. It's done. Anyway, where was I? SWOT analysis. So let's think of a situation. Let's see what we got. I am going to show you. So say, let's say I have a pet store and I am selling everything from goldfish to guinea pigs, and I am concerned because the business has been slow. So let's say I am one of the one of the elements of any sort of analysis is to first put together a solid objective statement. Okay, this is really important. And I confess, even I lose sight of this because usually, for the purposes of an assignment or something like that, I'm just not thinking about some of these details. All right, so let's say I am a of a new pet store. I am concerned about the lack of business. This SWOT analysis is the first step to better understand why business is slow. So, thank you, Grammarly. Thank you, Grammarly. Thank you, Grammarly. Thank you, Grammarly. You should never just blindly click through Grammarly like that, but I'm going to do it for the sake of time here. As a new pet store owner, I am concerned about the lack of business. The SWOT analysis is the first step to understanding why business is slow. Um, Pretty straightforward. My objective is to increase sales, right? So that's pretty straightforward, right? As we go through, we might start to address, we might have to address this objective statement again. Maybe it's not, maybe I want to increase sales now, but that's very broad. Maybe I want to increase online sales, in-person sales, sales of certain products. But we're going to start with this, all right? Okay, so what are my strengths? All right, so let's say I have a unique storefront, um, organic foods, organic pet foods. Let's say variety of pets. Um, this is typically done with an actual real life organization, department, or object or something, not just coming up with stuff off the top of your head. We start off with like what are the strengths? What are our values? Excellent rapport with clients. Uh, I thought that's how to spell it. Rapport, Repore. Oh, duh, boy. There we go. Excellent rapport with clients. Let's see. Strong existing customer base. Just trying to come up with clean store, clean interior. It's doesn't smell bad. Animals are groomed and well provided for. Just kind of Good decor, interior decor, unique storefront. Let's see. So let's say here. Let's just stop with that. Okay, we've got what are some of our weaknesses, right? So what are the areas that we could improve? Let's say it's just me running the store, so we have um, a few staff, limited store hours. So maybe my store hours are fairly limited, and I'm only open from 8 to 5, for example, typical business hours, right? So limited store hours, say 8 to 5, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, let's see. Let's say unique organic pet foods, variety of pets, excellent rapport with clients, clean interior. Maybe I only have limited items, limited items of. So maybe it's a small storefront and I only have a few items, limited items. So I have organic pet foods, but maybe that's taking up the space of cheaper items. Maybe slightly more expensive than competitors. So I'm gonna make go back, say good distance from competitors. Slightly more expensive than competitors, especially on options. All right, so Chewy and Amazon, both massive pet supply providers, delivery online. Start to You can start to see how, like, especially as I'm unpacking. I've never owned a pet store, but I can, even as a non-store owner, I can start to see, oh, well, maybe here's some opportunities here that can take advantage of. All right. So I'm gonna add a comment here. Are these the best hours? So I'm gonna start addressing these later. Let's see. By how much? All right. Obviously, as a small store owner, storage and ordering is, it's expensive to hold on to products that don't sell. They take up space. This is why big box stores and places like Amazon, one of the reasons for y'all supply chain folks, you got to better understand. You're the experts on this. I am not. But, you need to move product to make money. And if it's not moving, it's staying there. And that can be a problem. So, if it's slightly more expensive than competitors, there are many reasons for this, but especially the online options. Those are probably going to be my chief competitors. Let's see what else. Animal care. I have no idea what those animals do at night. I assume they are asleep during in the dark. I'm not sure what happens, but if I were a consultant for an a pet supply store, and I had no experience with this might be something that I have to start to work with my client, the store owner, to better understand some of these factors. Animal care is costly. All right, so that is also another advantage that places like Amazon and Chewy have over pet stores that have pets on the premises, because it costs money to take care of them. Amazon doesn't have to worry about that unless Jeff Bezos is out there feeding the guinea pigs. I'm not sure. Let's see. So what else? Let's say no stores, no other stores. Let's say say I am a pet store that's one of the only businesses in the area. So people coming to the business, this is all there is out there. It's maybe in a residential neighborhood. Maybe I'm running it out of a converted home. Let's say, for example, all sorts of reasons. Again, I'm just kind of making up stuff here. So let's see, we've got stores. Let's see, what else do we have? What other harms are there? Let's see. All right, let's leave it at that. So here we have our harms. We can start to see questions. Um, I'm gonna move this up. Can I get that up there? Come on. Should be able to. Why is this being difficult? There we go. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. External opportunities and threats. So let's say here we might have, let's say I don't do not much promotion. So I don't, if, it's a full-time job to do promotional work. Very hard to do that if you have a lot going on. That's probably why this channel is not more popular because I just don't have time to promote it. Yes, that's why. Opportunities. So these are the external factors. What are some of the benefits? So let's say, I'm in Green Bay. So Green Bay has plenty of pet-oriented events. Let's say we have dog parks. Let's say we have what else? I would say threats. Um, we have a couple of big box, big box, big box chains like Petco, I think, is one. So, this doesn't have to be a cut and dry focus on opportunities, then go on to the next one. Yeah, you can bounce around a little bit. All right, we have dog parks. Let's see. Trails. What other things do we have pet wise in here in Green Bay? Not sure. Animal hospitals. Okay. All right. So external, what's helpful? Pets are a lucrative business. Not much, few independent pet stores in area. You know, it's tough. I've where I used to live, we had one of our favorite pet stores closed uh, due to lack of business. Very, very hard to the hours for our purposes. The hours were we could never take advantage of them. So that's not why it's closed, but suspect that if a number of people are unable to get to your store because of the hours, that could be a problem. A few independent stores in the area. Let's see. Good network, friends, family, and others. Um, so yeah, there's some opportunities here. Let's say, what are some of the threats? Supply chain issues. Uh, Let's go on a recession slash COVID. still a lingering concern. Let's see, what are some other external threats? Supply chain issues, rising costs of pet food. These are also some things that I might not be sure about. Let's see. I don't know of. Let's, so we start to figure out these questions, right? But here we have. It can be hard to come up with external threats simply because they are often unknown. I mean, 3, 4 years ago, we would not have thought of COVID as inflation, that type of thing. So big, what we call wicked problems, things that are complex beyond, our capacity to understand. Poverty, for example, how do you solve poverty, world hunger? Trying to think of another example. These are, that's a pretty good one. If it involves changing behavior, chances are it's what we call a wicked problem. This is something that would entail a behavioral change on a massive scale. Um, Climate change is another perfect example of this. Sustainability efforts are wonderful. I often feel like any sort of contribution I make towards sustainability or combating climate change is a not even a doesn't even register as a drop in the proverbial bucket. This is more of a um, almost feels like a uh, an activity to make myself feel better about the state of things, and that's what a wicked problem is. It's so big, one person cannot possibly address it, but would actually legitimately require, if it were to work, would require sustained change at the behavioral level on a massive scale we don't often see. I couldn't tell you, nothing comes to mind a good example of this, save maybe World War II. And even then, probably uh, that seems must be something more current than that. Yeah, uh, I think we're getting there with hopefully the history books will record the endeavors of today and hopefully the foreseeable future as a time when we all did come together. But anyway, but what independent pet store owner is thinking about climate change? Maybe that's a part of it. Don't know. Maybe it's hard to think of, you know, living in Green Bay, it's not too much of an issue, but we do have weather's been nicer. I don't know. We kind of so these are starting to, you know, these are wicked problems, but they do have impacts on us, right? Certainly, COVID is a wicked problem. Um, One person can prevent it, can do their best to inhibit its spread. We certainly know about all of our individual efforts, but that it has had an impact. Hiring for sure. Threats. So let's say hiring demands. Asking wages are too high for this little biz. Right. So Um, hiring has been a complex matter to say the least. Asking wages are seem to wages that are being paid seem to be coming close to ideal wages. Certainly seem to be better than they were pre-COVID. But there's more to it than that. There are, people can, organizations can only pay so much. So there have been other stipulations and, and allowances given, like working from home, other types of things, working from home, better benefits, flexible hours. Organizations have come up with all sorts of things to address this. But you know, for an independent business, you're very limited, I imagine, to what you can offer your employees. So, anywho, all right. So here's a pretty good start for a SWOT analysis. I've started to. This is more of a brainstorming session, and it's best done with others. We did this in class the other day, and we had a really good list for the scenario that we're using in our class. Yeah, everyone came up with some really good ideas. So this is just one individual coming up with some things, and I've again never owned a business, let alone a pet store. But I'm imagining if I were to go out and talk to a pet store owner, as I said, if I were a consultant, the first thing I would be doing is talking with that pet store owner immediately to get a sense of what the situation is. Again, this is as a form of situation analysis. This is how we start conducting research. And one of the best forms of research is first person interviews, um, discussion, working through any sort of issues, um, rather than doing it, by secondary sources or um, which we'll get to in a second. All right, so we've got this. Now we start to look back at our questions. Are these the best hours? So here, start to review this. We've got a unique storefront, our organic pet foods, variety of pets, excellent rapport with clients. So this is these are our strong suits, right? I've got a good client base, really strong regulars. They come in, but it's just not enough. If I'm going to keep the doors open, if for nothing else for this core customer base, I'm going to need to expand this a little bit, right? Got a clean exterior, animals are taken care of, but you start to see some of these strengths. And one of the values of this, the first comes to mind, is this could help promote the store a little bit better, right? Um, what see, we can also see that good distance from competitors. The flip side of that, there's no other stores in the area because it's a residential. So um, maybe, let's say if we have good distance from competitors, let's go ahead and give this. Oops, no, that's not what I want to do. Over here, let's highlight this. We're going to start color coding this stuff because these are like qualities, I think. Limited store hours, limited island items, slightly more expensive, especially online. Animal care is costly, not much promotion. So, yes, we have a unique storefront. It's attractive, but there's no, other than that, there's really not much in the way of promotion. But we start to look at some of these other things. Green Bay has plenty of pet-oriented events. Is there promote at events? So maybe, it doesn't require a team of people to go out there and volunteer. Maybe I can maybe I can throw a few dollars into, say, an organized pet walk. Maybe I can put a sign up on, at one of the neighborhood parks. There's a number of different ways of conducting promotion. There, some are good, some are not so good. I'm not going to go into those details right now. That would be for a marketing person. For what it's worth, however, a sign posted on the fence of a dog park may not be the best one. Think of how many people are going to view that. Um, maybe I want to, some dog parks and trails. Maybe I want to sponsor a dog trail or something. Maybe there's something I can do to help clean it up every once in a while. So, there, animal hospitals. What sort of connections do we have there? I'm not sure what sort of networking an independent pet store owner does, but maybe, you know, fostering connections with animal hospitals can be. I want to be a primary supplier. Maybe there are some uh, ways to connect there, right? Pets are a lucrative business, yes. Few independent stores in the area. So here we have, again, few independent stores in the area. Here's another like. Um, so we start to see how, okay, this was, so sometimes you see these will duplicated. Hiring demands. So maybe there's only so much I can't really do anything. I can't hire anyone until I make more money. I can't make more money until I get more people in the store. So the key is to get more people in the store. How do we do that? Well, let's say, maybe I want to talk to, or where are we at? Excellent rapport with clients, excellent customer base. Let's put this in orange. I'm gonna put it in green. Right? Let's say, right. So our client base, what we have is really good. So how do we improve that? Maybe, let's say, how how to use customer base to expand business. So again, we start to generate these questions. How can I use my existing customers to expand the base? Um, hey, tell your friends and family about us. This is as a small store owner. Here we start to jump into our rhetorical appeals, ethos, pathos, logos, all that good stuff. All right. As your locally owned independent pet store, yes, things cost a little bit more, but look what you get in exchange. Maybe you can do independent ordering. If we don't have um, the product that you need, talk to us. We can make an arrangement. Depending on how flexible you want to be. Subscriptions seem to be a model that a lot of independent stores are following. Coffee Wizards here in town has a coffee subscription, for example. Right? You go and grab a free pound of not a free pound of coffee, but I don't know if it's mailed. It's probably better for for those who are not living in the Green Bay, Alloway area, but maybe there's a subscription. Maybe you can offer a small discount to those who to offset that price. Because it is hard to when it comes to especially during hot periods of inflation and instability. There it can you people often look for the cheapest um, option, right? And that's understandable. I think few of us who are of um, who are not affluent are always worried about this stuff. All right, so you can start to see how these questions come up. All right, maybe you want to promote at events. This is not. I'm not married to this yet. Green Bay has plenty of pet-oriented events. Promote dog parks, animal hospitals. Pets are a lucrative business. Um, maybe start to be seeing a few independent stores in the area, hiring demands, rising cost of pet food, supply chain issues. Again, these are all things that I have no control over. Um, but they are certainly things to be mindful of. Few staff, maybe, okay, what are Are these the best hours? Maybe adjusting the hours, maybe going in, say at 11 and staying open till 7. Could be staying open later so people who come from work. Do we do pet sitting services? Here's a, expand into pet sitting. Maybe if you have the space, you can board in home or in house, in home or boarding. Here's a new one. Let's say we're gonna make you blue. Oops, what the heck is that color? Ah, there we go. So here we have some areas that we could possibly expand to. Maybe this is a good way of doing it. Maybe you provide food and other, maybe this is how you start to build your client base. Actually, this is a really good idea. I think I'm uh, not a bad one at all. So, anyway, I think let's see, we've been going for about 55 minutes. I think that's it. That about does it. Um, Throat's starting to get a little agitated. This is what happens when you talk a lot for a living. Anyway, so this is a SWOT analysis. Again, it's not comprehensive. It's not intended to be to reveal any sort of secret, except just in this example, without any information and just completely coming up with things off the cuff. There is here's a potential opportunity here. Expand into pet sitting. If pets are a lucrative business and more people have pets, maybe pet sitting, maybe offering this service out through the store could be there could be potential. More people are traveling, so let's see external. You know, So sometimes, especially when with regards to entrepreneurship, you got to be paying attention to what's going on in the world. If more people are traveling, is there an opportunity there for you to take advantage of this? If more people are traveling, then more people need pet sitting services, so there may be an opportunity there. All right, so that's about all I have. I think this about covers it. The next thing to do is start to put together a business plan that is beyond the scope of what we're doing here today, but perhaps at a later time. Anyway, that's the SWOT analysis. Um, Again, thinking about oh, other than the questions that it helps, other than the opportunities that it helps generate, should be thinking about some of the research questions that come along. All right, so how do we use an existing customer base to expand business? Well, if promotion is not my jam, I might need to say, okay, I'll look around online. Okay, how do we use customers? How do we connect with them? How do we um, ask them to get the word out? What are some of the best events to promote? Who's doing promotion? How are they doing it? And how is that working? How much more expensive is our food? This could help, like say, provide coupons or do other some sort of promotional material that we could help generate business. All this is to say, one of the things, one of the ways which this type of analysis is valuable is that it can help prevent businesses from spinning their wheels, trying to generate income in ways that are just costing them more money. Um, See this in the restaurant business all the time. Without a decent objective business plan, without thinking of all of the opportunities and threats, strengths, and weaknesses, we tend to focus on the good, right? We feel as though our business is going to be successful and that our idea is solid and it's going to make us a lot of money. we don't often think about the harms and the threats that are out there that could significantly impact our business and therefore our livelihood. So, um, our livelihood is one of them. If I'm of poor health, that might be a threat, right? Um, I could say, you know, family obligations, for example. Who's going to cover the store if my son is sick, for example? Anyway, so hopefully this was somewhat helpful. Um, Sorry about the few tangents I went on earlier, and also apologies for being a little late today. But in the future, I'm going to try to post something that will let everyone know that it will be a little bit later. But actually, didn't thought I had time to jump on here, um, like but ended up overlapping. Anyway, have a great week. I will talk to you later.